humans, this is an adoption campaign, but it's not for me or Mr. Buttons or Frank over there. It's for you, humans. This is a call to humans to adopt our movement, to adopt our cause.
This isn't just about saving one of us.
It's about saving all of us.
Thousands of lives, every single day.
It's about support for every one of us four, and sometimes not four-legged best friends, waiting to meet a best friend of our own. With Best Friends Animal Society leading the charge.
Shelter by shelter, city by city.
We can save thousands of pets each day. Join us. Together we can save them all.
Thank you for joining us for Pet Connect. I'm Tara Douglas. The last couple of weeks we've talked about ways to help with the rescue community, the animal rescue community here in Sylacauga. A couple of weeks ago we had Jay Bunt from the Sylacauga Animal Shelter discussing different shelter needs, and then last week I had my husband Jonathan come on and we talked about different ways to volunteer to help not only the Sylacauga Animal Shelter but also our local nonprofit Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill. And we touched briefly on our experiences fostering. So I thought it'd be great to bring Terry Brooks on the show today. Terry's a part of Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill. She has fostered hundreds of puppies. I would argue that she's been very instrumental in getting thousands of dogs and puppies out of this area to reputable rescues in other states. So who better to talk to than Terry? She knows all the ins and outs of rescue, and she leads our rescue portion of Feral Dogs of Avondale. So Terry, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to come here to talk about the needs in the community.
Absolutely. And let's talk about, because we do have a lot of puppies. We get a lot of people contacting us about needs or puppies that they found or litters that they have. And of course, the shelter is not a great place for puppies to grow up.
No, not at all.
Let's talk about why fostering is important.
Well, fostering is important to basically, I look at it as to keep the puppy safe, because you put them in a contained environment where they're not in contact with outside elements, other animals that could be bringing, bad things in. Your yard can have parvo in it, so you keep them, isolated until they get vaccinated enough where they can go to rescue. So it's very critical, just like little babies are. Young puppies are very susceptible to, a lot of different, we'll call them diseases or, things that they can get, kennel cough, and parvo.
And unfortunately, that can happen in a shelter. I mean,
Yes.
the overcrowding that we have in shelters, it's just not the ideal place for puppies as they're going through their vaccinations and
Right.
trying to get healthy.
Well, they can't isolate them. It's not like they have 20 rooms, so if they get 20 litters of puppies, each one can have, and they can decontaminate themselves when they go in, like sterile, like we can when we have puppies at home. And as you know, my rule is you can only have one litter. I don't care if you have multiple places to put puppies. You can only have one litter to keep them safe.
Absolutely, and we just showed some pictures of some of your recent puppies up there. So those were some pictures of some recent puppies that Terry has fostered. Now, of course, also a shelter, an overcrowded shelter, is a stressful place for puppies.
Correct.
Not just worrying about exposure and disease and things like that and socialization. That's quite a stressful area. So when you have a good
It's
spot
loud,
at your
yeah.
home, then they can calm down and we can get them ready for rescue.
And they can get more interaction, just like probably you do and I do. I'll go in there and pet them and play with them a little bit after I sterilize myself and, and kind of socialize them. And at a shelter, when you have 5 workers and over 200 animals, there's no way they can get that kind of interaction,
Absolutely.
With the staff. And it's not that the staff doesn't want to. Puppies are cute. Everybody loves puppies, but they just can't get, that interaction and socialization.
So in order for us to get puppies to rescue, we've got to have fosters.
Correct.
But let's talk about what happens. I mean, how do we go from somebody reaching out to us with puppies or us pulling puppies from the shelter, and how do we get them to the end point? So get them to the rescues in other states that we partner with.
So the first critical state is, do we have a foster? Do we have a foster open? are these puppies, and usually, it's the young ones the younger the better, 5-6 weeks, once they get to a certain size, we can't really bring into our foster. They're harder to move. And then we go, okay, are these puppies that, Rescue XYZ out of state would take, Unfortunately, some puppies, pit puppies are not puppies that we can really move, and it's not that we have anything against pit puppies.
Absolutely.
It's the rescues, it's harder for them to adopt out. So, so that's the first step. Do we have a foster? Will these be accepted by a rescue? We submit them to a rescue to start getting them lined up, and then they have to be in foster minimum 3 weeks before they can move.
Okay.
And a lot of how long they are in foster is depending on transport, which rescue, what's the next transport and so forth. When are they coming in?
So one key thing that I really want anyone contacting feral dogs asking for help with puppies to understand is that if you do have puppies that are older, if you have a situation where you've seen some puppies or you have some puppies, we've got to get to them when they're small.
Correct.
Because we have people contact us quite a bit, and yes, the puppies are small that they're talking to us about, but they're not small in the rescue world. We need tiny puppies, and
like 4 to 5 pounds. Once they hit that 8-week mark, they're still small, but by the time they're ready for rescue, they're going to be 15 pounds at that point. Which when people go to adopt, puppies, the smaller the better. The smaller, the easier,
And we've got to think about what's happening with our rescue partners, because they can only take puppies from us that they can adopt out quickly. So we've got to provide them with puppies that not only meet their criteria. Here's some puppies that we sent to St. Hubert, so one of our rescue partners in New Jersey. So now this particular rescue is able to take some larger dogs
and juvenile puppies,
but primarily, like our rescue partners in Florida, we have to have small puppies, and we have to have some that they can adopt out quickly, and
Correct.
some that, and the smaller puppies are easier for our fosters too. And so,
and a lot of people contact us, hey, I have these puppies, do you want them, and think we can move them quickly. It is not a quick process to move in puppies. The first thing is they go to foster, they get their vaccinations, they get dewormed, they get flea meds, they're monitored to make sure they're healthy, and then we start reaching out to rescues. And then depending on which rescue we reach out to, we plan, is it a van transport? Is it our van transport, which we do to St. Hubert's? Is it a flight out? We have different options, and each rescue has their own. So sometimes, the St. Hubert's run took us a month to get, the 23 together to go. It's not, hey, come get your puppies today, and hey, they're gone, No.
It takes time.
Yes.
And you would think, if, hearing the number 23 that we got out to go to St. Hubert's last month, that's a huge number, and it's a huge load off the shelter. But unfortunately, the shelter's constantly crowded and overcrowded. And the minute we pull puppies out, the more go in. But that's where fostering can help. You're not only helping one puppy or a litter of puppies, you're clearing up space for the shelter to help more dogs. And so then that means that we've got more dogs off the street, and then more, and a system that is already overcrowded can have a lot of help with fostering.
Correct. Yep.
And primarily we only foster puppies with feral dogs. So you've already touched on it, but for those people who might be thinking about fostering, let's talk about a day in the life of a foster. Let's talk about what that would entail, so people will understand better of what they would do if they were fostering.
So we provide all the supplies. So you would need an area away from your other animals, because they have to be quarantined, while they're, after they get their vaccinations, to keep them safe and healthy. So I have a spare room, and I think you have a spare room, and we'll provide a playpen. So once you get the whole set up, and we'll provide a bed and toys and a bucket and and food and all of those things. So really, it's just depending on the age. Sometimes you have to feed them 3 times a day, but most of the time it's 2 times a day. So you feed and kind of clean in the morning. I do the big cleaning at night. So usually the first cleaning is just kind of cover up the poop and feed them and make sure they're good, and then do a complete, put them in a kennel, and take up all the newspaper and completely clean that night. So, and then just feed. So really, it's probably, I would estimate 45 minutes to an hour a day that you're taking care of the puppies to keep them safe.
And so Feral Dogs provides all of the supplies.
Correct.
You just basically need the time and the space and the willingness to have some puppies around to love. Now,
Right.
Feral Dogs, we do foster kittens also, but today we're talking about primarily puppies. I'll see if I can get Mitzi on to talk about the cat portion, since we're on a roll here with ways to help for the
Right.
community to help. But the fostering is so important right now because
Right.
we don't have enough.
The other thing too to remember about fostering puppies too, it's not like you can pick them up and take them around your house. We call it no puppy feet on the ground. So you keep them in that area. Can you pick them up and love on them? Yes, if you've washed your hands good and so forth. But really the main thing is keeping them safe. You know, and that's what I want to make sure, because we'll get people who's like, and then they send a picture and they're walking through their living room and I'm going, you know, because you don't
You
know.
have to protect
Right.
them.
Correct.
But one thing that's great about fostering is that you do get to have, I mean, if you've cleaned yourself up and you can get in there and hold them and love them, you've got puppy love all the time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you don't have to train them.
Oh, I go in there. My 5 now. I go in there and and I've scrubbed up and changed clothes or whatever. And I'll go in there and I'll open the little gate and all 5 of them just come and start crawling in my lap and wanting to love on me. And it's so sweet and so cute. And this is a great way to socialize them too. And yeah, it's
It's fun to have puppies around.
It's
and,
fun.
and like I said, not to have to worry about training them and not have to, I mean, that you're just there to keep them safe and love them. And so it's actually very rewarding to
Right.
foster.
Yeah.
Quite rewarding. So if you're interested in fostering, now here are a couple of dogs that are Terry. So we, her fosters. So these are older fosters. We don't often do that.
No.
This was a special case. But Terry's got Aspen and Ash at her house that she's fostering. And they're our available pets of the week. And there's one puppy that's leaving on a flight.
Yeah.
So that's actually one of our dogs
One of our
on a
puppies we
flight.
see.
Yeah, that
Yep.
looks like an AI generated photo, but it's not. It's
Yep.
one
It
of
was
ours.
some Pyrenees collie puppies that we sent a whole litter down to Florida.
So let's go back to talking about Ash and Aspen. So they're our available pets of the week. We'll have a
I've had
picture of
them
Aspen
since
up.
the end of February
Okay.
at my house. I have to put them in outside kennel. It's a large one. I mean, it's 400 square feet, large, and they have a heat source out there. But they are so loving, and they would just really just love to have, their own people,
And they're small dogs and
They're
very sweet.
They're both under 30 pounds. And I mean, I had somebody working on my house this week that had a young boy, 9 years old. He walked up there and they were just all over him. I mean, they're great with kids, everybody they've met, but they just deserve their own place. I have 6 of my own as one. They are not inside. But, they're wonderful, wonderful.
And so if you're
Babies.
interested in adopting, then definitely contact Feral Dogs of Avondale. We've got all kinds of information about Aspen and Ash. Again, they're small dogs. Again, this was a special case where they've been with Terry longer than normal fosters. But if you're interested in fostering, also contact us because, like you said, fostering is usually no more than 3 weeks with the puppies and we get them to rescue. And as I said, this really opens up a lot and we're able to get more dogs out of this area to safety in other states and get them off the street so that they can have homes at reputable rescue.
Right.
So.
But our biggest thing is our voucher sales this weekend is we would love it if there were not any puppies.
Absolutely. We wouldn't be talking about this, but join us this weekend. It's going to be Saturday, December 6th, as usual at PetSense. We're there at 9 a.m. and we're only there until we run out. Make sure you have cash or check. And it's
Prefer
for
cash, but
yes, and come early so that you can line up. And that's $30 for male or female cat, male or female dog, and it's for Alabama Spay and Neuter in Irondale. And we'll have all the information there about how you can get your pets there. They have a transport that comes to Home Depot, so it's very easy. And then we're also doing a fundraiser right now for the Feral Dogs of Avondale. We've partnered with the Wharf, and we've got tickets available for Low Country Boil, where you can, where the proceeds go to Feral Dogs. And so
Looks delicious.
we're selling those tickets for the next week, and you can get them at Broadway Spinal Care. We have them at our office, and they're $30, and you can go and pick them up. Your dinners up or your lunch up on December 13th. But we've got all kinds of exciting things going on, but please consider fostering because, like I said, that is a big need right now. And we would love to find more fosters so we can help more puppies. And Terry, thank you for everything that you do. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you for everything you do. You've fostered quite a few too.
Well, not as many as Terry. I feel like a nothing if I think about how many hundreds you've had. But thank you, Terry, and we'll talk more about fostering in the future. And make sure you contact us if you have any questions about fostering. We would love to have more help. And we'll have more Daybreak after these messages.